In the dead of night on a lonely road in South Africa, a car is flagged down. The man at the wheel, disguised as a chauffeur, is arrested. His name is Nelson Mandela. The world knows him as a freedom fighter, a political prisoner, a president. But on that night in 1962, he was simply a man whose journey into a quarter-century of darkness was just beginning. This is the story of how that man, inmate number 46664, emerged from the world's most notorious prison to dismantle a system of racial segregation and lead a nation toward the light. Born Rolihlahla Mandela in a small village, his name prophetically meant pulling the branch of a tree, or more colloquially, troublemaker. He was the first in his family to attend school, where a teacher gave him the English name Nelson. From these humble beginnings, his path led him to Johannesburg, the bustling heart of South Africa, where the stark reality of apartheid, a brutal system of institutionalized racial segregation, hit him with full force. It was a world where your skin color determined where you could live, work, and even walk. For a young, intelligent lawyer like Mandela, this injustice was not something he could ignore. He joined the African National Congress, or ANC, initially advocating for nonviolent protest. Inspired by Gandhi, Mandela and his comrades organized boycotts, strikes, and acts of civil disobedience. They burned their passbooks, internal passports required for black South Africans to move within their own country. But the government responded not with dialogue, but with bullets. The 1960 Sharpeville massacre, where police opened fire on peaceful protesters, became a turning point. For Mandela, the path of non-violence had reached a dead end. The troublemaker was about to live up to his name. He co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, or Spear of the Nation, the armed wing of the ANC. They didn't target people but symbols of the apartheid state, power plants, transport links. It was a strategic campaign of sabotage. But this made Mandela the most wanted man in South Africa. He became the Black Pimpernel, a master of disguise, evading capture for 17 months. His eventual arrest in 1962 led to the infamous Rivonia trial. Facing the death penalty, Mandela stood in the dock and delivered one of the most powerful speeches of the 20th century. He concluded with words that would echo across the globe. "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." He was spared death but sentenced to life imprisonment on Robben Island, a windswept rock in the Atlantic. He became prisoner 46664. The conditions were brutal. Inmates performed hard labor in a lime quarry, the bright glare permanently damaging Mandela's eyes. Communication with the outside world was almost non-existent, yet in this desolate place, Mandela's spirit refused to be broken. The prison, intended to crush him, became his university. He learned the Afrikaans language of his jailers, seeking to understand his enemy. He organized political education classes, turning a place of punishment into a center of learning and resistance. The world outside had not forgotten him. The Free Nelson Mandela movement became a global phenomenon, with concerts, protests, and political pressure mounting on the South African government. After 18 years, Mandela was transferred from Robben Island, but he remained a prisoner. The government, facing international sanctions and internal unrest, began to see him not as a terrorist, but as a negotiating partner. They offered him conditional freedom multiple times. An aging Mandela in a small prison cottage could have walked free if he just renounced the armed struggle. Each time he refused. He would not accept a personal freedom while his people were still in chains. Finally, in 1990, after 27 long years, the new president, F.W. de Klerk, announced the unconditional release of Nelson Mandela. The world held its breath. On February 11th, a 71-year-old Mandela, hand in hand with his wife Winnie, walked out of Victor Verster prison not as a broken man but as a symbol of unwavering hope. But freedom from prison was only the beginning. The next challenge was even greater: dismantling apartheid and preventing a civil war. The negotiations were fraught with tension and violence. Yet Mandela's capacity for forgiveness and reconciliation was astounding. He met with his former captors, urging peace over vengeance. In 1994, South Africa held its first ever multiracial democratic election. Millions of people, who had never been allowed to vote before, stood in lines for hours. And Nelson Mandela, the man who spent nearly 3 decades as a political prisoner, was elected the first black president of a free South Africa. His presidency was a masterclass in nation-building. One of his most iconic moments came during the 1995 Rugby World Cup. Rugby had long been a symbol of white Afrikaner power, but Mandela embraced the national team, the Springboks. He walked onto the field for the final match wearing the team's jersey, a powerful gesture that united a deeply divided nation in a shared moment of triumph. He chose not to seek a second term, gracefully stepping aside to ensure the strength of the democratic institutions he helped build. He spent his later years as a global statesman, a champion for peace and human rights. Nelson Mandela's journey from a village boy to a prisoner, and from that prisoner to a president, is more than just a historical account. It's a testament to the power of resilience, the importance of forgiveness, and the unyielding belief that even after the longest, darkest night, the sun will rise. His life reminds us that our own circumstances do not define us, and that one person's courage can truly change the world. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. If you found this story as inspiring as we do, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the lives that shaped our history. We'll see you next time.